Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision. Before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of this business. It is an e-commerce and Amazon FBA business created in December of 2018 in the gaming niche. The average monthly revenue for the business is $37,175 and makes an average of $12,195 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are a Shopify and Amazon Seller Central account with 18 SKUs, domain with all site content and files, 4 domains, supplier relationships, social media accounts and pages, which are Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, a trademark, an email list of about 58,000 subscribers, artwork licensing agreements, and just as a disclaimer, inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to active buyers. So for everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 58645 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So that's a brief overview of the business for sale. Let's hear from the seller with me today. So welcome to the show, Brent. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to learning more about you and your business. So to start us off, can you tell us a little about your background in building and running online businesses?
Sure. So my first major business actually was started back in around 2010, 2011. And that also had to do with the same niche that we were in with this current business. So in that business, it wasn't really e-commerce. It was more of a media-based business, but that was kind of before the big e-commerce boom. So I got a lot of experience just running a business by itself back when I was doing that business. And it being in the same niche as the one that I'm running now, I kind of took a look at how impactful e-commerce was becoming back. This was back in 2010 again. So it was just kind of starting to get off on that big boom that it is in today and will probably forever be. So at that point, I really started to learn more about digital marketing and SEO and doing all this kind of stuff online to be able to sell online. And during those years after I exited that first business, I really focused on learning those skills. And I was kind of preparing myself for the big e-commerce boom. And here we are.
Wow, awesome. So, okay, that explains why you chose the niche. So it's been a few years since building the business, 2018. So why are you deciding to sell the business now instead of keeping it and growing it?
The main reason I'm selling this business now is just basically to explore other opportunities and challenges, as well as I've recently started to get more into real estate investing, and the capital from the sale of this business can really help with that.
Yep, that makes sense. I've actually just spoke to another seller who wants to shift to full-time in real estate. So that seems to be a direction, interestingly, that online sellers are going from online to not online, actually. Okay. So while you were building this business, what's something that you learned that just seemed to work, whether it was about building this business or just about building business in general?
So this was really my first real e-commerce business at all. And I really had to learn all of the things to make an e-commerce business run, which a lot of that is getting people to your site and in front of your product. And the business that I built was that the thing that really worked was I found out how powerful Facebook and Instagram ads are. And the thing about our product is that it does really well. It kind of has this viral aspect to it in the way that you can make the creative, the advertisement for this product. And it really showed right away because the creatives that we made really took off. They went viral. A few of them did. And they didn't die off. That's the thing. Like, this product is kind of an evergreen product. It does do exceptionally well in the holiday season, but even so, it's an evergreen product. And the advertisements around the product that can be made. Like they're very fun to make. They're fun for people to watch. So that's something that really stood out to me when developing this product and the advertisements around it. So Facebook and Instagram ads, we've tried other avenues as well, but just the virality around this product is really cool to watch. And that's something that definitely did work.
That's very cool. Usually when I hear about sellers and running PPC campaigns, it's largely focused on selecting the right keywords and being very data driven with it, and that leading to their success, which is important, of course. There's the algorithm side to PPC, but it's cool to hear. It sounds like what you're describing is more of the creative side of it, the virality to an ad campaign, which is, yeah, that's very cool to hear that worked out for you.
Yes, definitely.
Nice. So was there anything you tried with this business that didn't work out so well?
Well, now that you've said that, PPC we've tried, just standard PPC like Google Ads and whatnot. Not that they didn't work, but seeing as how they compared to the effectiveness, to the ROI from the other stuff that we were doing, PPC basically wasn't even worth it at some times. We just wanted to do it just to do it and try it out and see how it did. But although it didn't do terribly, like when you compare those ROI dollars to everything else that we were doing on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, we kind of decided just to shift and focus more on organic on Google especially, and that has seemed to work. So that is probably the one thing that we kind of were expecting more from. But I guess another aspect from that is that some of our audience, the customers that purchase this product, they're kind of more savvy, I guess you can say. And, they're kind of those people that will try to find an organic link instead of an ad link when they search on Google. So that's something to think about as well. And something that we did see some lack of effectiveness from.
Well, yeah, certainly you wouldn't know until you tried. So that's good to hear. And just that you are experiencing success organically. So great. And so it's been a few years since you've launched and grown this business. So it seems like you might be at more of a maintenance phase at this point. But can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business for maintenance?
Yeah. So other than our part-time employee who fulfills the orders, I am literally the only other person working on this business. So I spend anywhere from 10 to maximum 20 hours a week on this. I'm the person talking to our suppliers, placing orders with the suppliers, updating the website, coming up with new creatives for the advertising stuff that we do. I even do our own customer service. So that's just kind of a fault of mine, I guess. Like if I were to grow this business, I would obviously have to delegate. But even things like as simple as customer service, I really want to take that into my own control just because it's still kind of relatively a new business and I really want the reputation of the business to be as good as possible and that can really be reflected in the amazing reviews that we have online for our product and business. And I guess it's a fault of mine that I just don't want to delegate as much as I should, but that's definitely something that could be done. But overall, in terms of the hourly spend, yeah, it's about 10 to 20 depending on, like if I was doing a new product launch, for example, that's going to take up 20 hours for the week. But yeah, overall, it's pretty predictable by now.
Okay. Well, I definitely see that that's going to be a point of discussion for when we talk about opportunities. So we'll get into that in just a moment. But I wanted to go back to how you were talking about your Facebook ads and your organic traffic, just to talk about traffic and just how that's generated, since we just talked about a couple of things. How is your traffic generated? Or I guess, how is your organic traffic generated? Did you want to just talk about that, your organic search versus your paid search?
Sure. So the majority of our traffic does currently come from the marketing that we do on Facebook ads and Instagram. We've also dabbled on some TikTok ads, Snapchat ads and that stuff. Although we are getting more and more organic Google search traffic as we have slowly been growing the SEO aspect of our business. We're now ranking first page for a few very competitive keywords in our niche, which is great. That has just been something that we've slowly been ramping up and putting a little bit more effort into after seeing some initial, results from that. Like when we compare how many sales we're getting from our social media advertising to our organic Google search results, we've seen that kind of, for the longest time, it was always pretty lopsided towards just the paid advertising side of things. But we've still been seeing that build up on the organic side of things, which is great. And for that reason, we've put a little bit more time into ranking these pages. And it has definitely paid off because we're getting a lot of our collection pages, for example, onto the first page of very competitive search results, which is really great to see. So that's something that we definitely would keep on building out if we were to just keep the business and not be able to sell it right now.
Cool. That also sounds like another good lead in for discussing opportunities. So let's just get to that. If you were to keep the business, what are some ways that you would try to grow it, or what are some major opportunities for growth?
I think the main thing that I want to talk about here is Amazon FBA. We recently started Amazon FBA. We introduced our flagship product into Amazon FBA, and it did exceptionally well just from an initial test of a few hundred units. And they sold out extremely fast, much faster than we were anticipating. We even got to the top seller ranking on one specific category.
Wow.
In a very, very short amount of time. So Amazon FBA, there's a massive opportunity here for somebody who's experienced with Amazon, because we have a very simple product. It's a product that has a very cool aspect to it, and especially something that has not been done before. It's a world first product, and there's nothing else like it on not just Amazon, but anywhere else. So we have that aspect going for us, and testing the product out initially on Amazon has been proven very successful. So massive opportunity there. That is something that I would put a lot more time, a lot more inventory forecasting into Amazon FBA if I were not to sell. The other thing I want to talk about is also international markets, because we have only been selling in the US this entire time, just because we have not really found the right 3PL partner that has been able to get our product cost effectively out and shipped out to the other big international markets. So that's a big opportunity there. We'd really love to see our business in, Australia and the EU and things like that. So the other thing I want to talk about in terms of growth is something related to marketing, and that's influencer marketing, which is something that we've only really lightly dabbled in, but we've seen a ton of effectiveness from that. For example, we only have like one real ambassador for our business that we've done through this influencer marketing campaign. Seeing how effective it is, it's kind of bad, honestly, that we haven't put more time into this. But there is a lot of room there for opening up an additional revenue stream, an additional stream that comes from, I guess, it's social media marketing, but it's not paid advertising. It's more of this organic marketing. So teaming up with influencers could really blow this product up even more.
Nice. And yeah, just to add to what you're saying about going into Amazon FBA and how right now you're personally doing a lot of the customer support, and even you're looking for ways to expand internationally. It sounds like a lot of that would be served through this transition of Amazon FBA that you're doing, since on the FBA platform, a lot of customer support is at least assisted by Amazon directly for support. And then, of course, they have their fulfillment centers around the world. So yeah, it sounds like there are a lot of opportunities and some very clear solutions for that. So that sounds great. Well, with any opportunity, of course, comes risk. So what do you think are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
The biggest risk that we came into was the pivot with iOS 14, the updates that came with that OS, where Apple really made it a big priority for them to care more about people's privacy. And that really affected the way that, since we relied so heavily on Facebook and Instagram advertising, everything through that platform, the paid advertising stuff, that was impacted by that update. And that's because people were able to basically opt out of being tracked, which obviously affects the way that Facebook is able to deliver their ads. So that is something that Facebook has been slowly but surely been working on kind of alleviating, and it definitely has improved actually over these past couple months. But that came into play early 2021, and a lot of businesses really did suffer, the ones that relied on only Facebook ads, and they did suffer. And we actually, there were certain things that you had to do to kind of get around that, and we did that pretty effectively. We still had a great year. And the thing is that, these privacy updates, they can keep happening. And that's why the business really does have to diversify their paid advertising model. And that's why something like opening up this to Amazon FBA would be a great way to do that. Getting more organic search, other great way to do that. So kind of just building on top of that Facebook advertising base that we have, it's definitely risky to really put all your eggs into one basket. So any way that you can do to kind of not do that would be great. And that was really the only risk that we had. But obviously, people care more about their privacy each and every day, and stuff like this is probably continue to happen. So yeah, diversifying your advertising.
Got it. And yeah, it sounds like diversifying towards FBA and also, as you mentioned, some of these influencers. Okay, great. Well, let's finish this up with some housekeeping questions. So how much support are you willing to offer to a new buyer?
I'd be willing to offer 30 days of email support as well as a couple Skype calls.
Great. And would you commit to a non-compete?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And are you open to something like an earnout?
I'd prefer a cash upfront deal, but would be open to negotiating an earnout. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And last two questions, putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
I think the number one thing would be the growth potential, of course, just because it is so clear in my eyes. Sometimes I think about the growth potential and I'm like, should I really sell it? But the other thing there is that the product and the brand itself is very strong. The reputation around the product, the reputation around the company is very strong. And that's something that I think any business should really have and focus on. And that's something that I've been able to do and I'm really proud of. So yeah, overall, I think anyone who buys this business would be really happy with what they're getting. And I think it has a real clear path as to how to grow it and double it up over the next year.
Awesome. Well, last question then. Is there anything you'd like to add that you think I might have missed during the interview?
Not that I can think of. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot here. So I think that's the perfect place to wrap this up. So Brent, thank you so much for sharing your story and joining us on today's episode. And yeah, I hope your business is purchased in the near future and by the right buyer.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 58645. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.